Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 96 of Hobby Quick Hits. Well, kind of going to have a weird start to this episode, to be quite frank with you. So, the topic of the episode is taking back your hobby. And it's a little bit of me, kind of getting fired up with some of the recent stuff that's happened in the hobby, talking about sort of how I feel and what we can do as a hobby community, how we have more power than we never use, quite frankly. We waste the power we have as a hobby community. Just kind of throw it out the window, if you will. And so I'm going to be fired up. But just before, literally, I turned my computer on, opened it up, lowered my mic boom, got that fired up, and my phone rings. And it's one of my best friends. And someone, I talk to him quite a bit, a lot of times via text, but I just, with the call itself, I just had a bad feeling. And sure enough, found out one of our good friends that we both played a lot of softball with for almost 20 years. Not a young man. He was in his mid to late 70s, but he played until his late 60s with us. He was our pitcher. Gentleman's name is Joe Tetro. We lost him today. And so, man, that's tough. That's tough. And so we're going to dedicate this episode, for what that's worth, to Joe Tetro, a gentleman I've known for almost 20 years through softball. We played in baseball and football fantasy leagues together. We would, poke each other in the stomach. We like to throw barbs at one another and pick on each other in a fun, playful way. And I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss Joe. I'm going to miss all those times. And but we're going to think about all those memories as well. So, but one thing I always remember with Joe, no matter how old he was, he'd be on the mound in his 60s. Either was at shortstop or third base. And he was a guy, even in the 60s, was feisty. Didn't take a lot of crap from anyone. He wasn't a trash talker, but he defended himself, didn't back down. And I was kind of raised like that. Playing with him for as long as I did, he definitely cemented, defend yourself. If you believe in something, take up that banner, that flag, and fight for what you believe in. That's what Joe was. He was into politics on the local level, served as town clerk for many years. He was asked to run for mayor many times, and easy for me to say. He was very well liked. There was no doubt in my mind he would have won the mayoral race had he entered it. He just didn't want to do it. He sort of did, but he didn't. And like he tell you, if you're not 100% about it, you can't really. You're doing a disservice to the office. So could have been the mayor, but served in local politics for a good portion of his life. Even before I knew him, he was on the local politics scene. And he taught me, he reiterated to me, because it was something I already was taught, to stand in your convictions, fight what you believe in, and, be strong about it and adamant about it. And it kind of makes sense that this show should be dedicated to him, because we're going to talk about some stuff going in the hobby that's not necessarily good. And what we can do about it and how we can stick up for what we want. So we're going to take a break here and hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Breaks. But after that, we're going to start this show, and this one's for you, Joe.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports cards to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
New releases.
Guys, it's Owen from the Sports Card Shop. Today I will be telling you the new releases. This week's special is 2021 Mosaic Baseball Hobby Boxes for $99 though. And now here, let's get to the releases. 2020-21 Panini Flawless on the 26th. On the 26th also, 2022 Sage Hit Low Series Football. On the 28th, 2021 Panini Immaculate Football. On the 28th, 2021 Panini Mosaic Football No Huddle. On the 28th again, 2021 Wild Card Illumination Football. See you guys.
Start spreading the news.
All right, let's go around the hobby world, find out what has happened since last week. All right, not a great start to 2022. Now, last week, instead of the Hobby Quick Hits, we did our Breaking Cardboard live show that we do once a month. We ran the audio in place of Hobby Quick Hits. So this is really like 2 weeks worth of news, and a few bad things happened. Now, I'm going to just cover them briefly right here because the main topic of today's Hobby Quick Hits pertains to these, so I cover them a little bit more in depth. But we all saw Logan Paul's G.I. Joe case. Again, I'm going to talk about this during our main topic of this show, so I'll leave it at that and go more into details there. Same thing with the next bad story of the past 2 weeks, right? The Mark X sports cards not paying the over $1 million PSA bill for cards that were subbed either directly to him. Card collector 2, Ryan Johnson's involved because he sent some cards to Marks of others to be subbed to PSA. Now, Ryan has made it right with paying his portion of the bill to get those cards graded out of pocket. Where Ryan's getting in a little trouble is that he didn't ever disclose that he was using a third party to sub the PSA, where on his site it does indicate that he subs directly. So take that for how you will. In the fake slabs in Dallas, gentlemen trying to pass off, I believe mostly Jordans, but I'm not saying they're all Jordans. I think he initially was arrested and then released on bail, and I believe the charges have been dropped, but I don't know. And listen to episode 115 of Hobby Hotline. Ryan Nolan, who was there and on scene when that whole incident went down, just wrote a book called Spotting Fakes, so this is right up his alley. He appeared on episode 115 of Hobby Hotline with myself and Chris Harris, and we talked about that incident in depth and a lot of insight there. Well, spring is in the air, or almost. We're getting there. The 2022 Topps Rip Party has a date. It will be streamed. No location given, so I'm guessing it's not in Dallas again, but it will take place February 15th. You can view it on Top Stream and I believe YouTube. 20 breakers again, and you can buy into the breaks. This will be on February 15th. Check out Topps for more details there.
Swinging a drive out to center field. That one's well struck. Straw running out of room. He leaps, and it's gone! Shohei legging it around the pillows in record-breaking time.
Speaking of the Topps Rip Party, which takes place on the 15th, the 2022 Topps product officially comes out for the general public the following day on February 16th. Topps, as they have done in recent years, let the fans and collectors and hobbyists vote on who would be the number one card in the set, traditionally given to a superstar or budding superstar of the sport. And as you just heard from that soundbite, your 2022 cover boy or number one boy is Shohei Ohtani. So Shohei Ohtani, for the first time, will be card number one in the Topps flagship brand. A couple announcements from Panini. Their UFC NFTs will go on sale. Actually, by the time you're hearing this, they'll already be on sale. They go on sale January 24th in their Discord channel. I think there's a physical element to their NFTs as well, which I'm not an NFT guy, but if they add a physical element, I'm all for that. So check out the Panini UFC NFTs. And staying on the Panini news, something I'm excited about, they've announced on March 23rd, there's a new brand or new product. It's not really new. It's appeared in Chronicles, but they're going to make its own release. It's not new, and they've done it before with basketball, but it's the first time football is going to have its own standalone release and set, and that's clearly Donruss football. So that'll be March 23rd. I am a sucker for acetate cards, and so I'm sure I'll be opening up some clearly Donruss football and not have to just get it out of Chronicles. So, good on Panini. I love the clearly Donruss product.
Court is now in session.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and his legal team are suing Leaf and Brian Gray for breach of contract and illegal use of brand or something more legalese than that. But what Giannis is saying is he signed a pre-draft contract in 2013 to sign 1,000 sticker autos at $8 a piece. That price doesn't exist anymore. So for $8,000, he agreed to sign 1,000 sticker autos to be used, in 2013. This deal was signed before he actually was drafted. He was a raw player then, obviously, as compared to now being a polished MVP superstar. And he is claiming that the deal was for those 1,000 autos to be in that year's product only, that he didn't agree that the contract was for 1 year. Well, Leaf has, spaced those out and have put them in subsequent products after 2013. Giannis, who knows his value, says, hey, I got paid $8 for those. It was supposed to be before, that was one before I got drafted for the 2013 product, not forever. And so he's suing for breach of contract. I believe, I don't know the exact amount he's suing for, but I believe it's 7 figures. And he's also upset because Leaf has used his nickname, his moniker, the Greek Freak, on products. And I guess he's saying that people have to pay for the usage of that. It's a trademark. So he's mad at Leaf for not for holding on to those sticker autos and using them in later products and using the Greek Freak moniker. So we'll see what comes about. So cards in court are it's not unfamiliar territory. This is just another case headed to court. So I had a fellow content creator. I'm not going to name them. I don't know if they'd mind me naming them, but I'm not going to, because it was a conversation that was a private one. And they asked me, a rhetorical question, one they knew the answer to. They said, John, there's kind of two content creators in the hobby space now. I know which one you are, and that's him talking to me. So I'm not asking you which one do you think you are, but there's two types in my mind. There's the one that wants to create content, doesn't want to really maybe tackle the issues in depthly, stay on the surface, not ruffle any feathers, not not get in bed with anyone. Pardon my visual there, and and try to move up the chain of command or the ranks and appease everyone. And then and again, this is him talking to me. Then there's content creators like you, and there's others like you. You're not the only one, and that's a good thing. That call it like it is. Aren't worried about. You are worried about the community and the hobby, but you aren't worried about one not so above board person unfriending you, deleting you, blocking you. You care about the masses enough to tell it like it is, and you're not worried about not getting an invite somewhere. You're not worried about someone not coming on your show. And he's exactly right. That is me. It's how I was raised. I'm going to promote the hobby and the good stuff too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Jerry Springer, where every show is just going to be about train wrecks in the hobby. But sometimes we do have to talk about these things. We have to tackle them. And we have to be very succinct and honest about it. And if that makes someone mad, even someone that I'm on good terms with or friends with, and it's for the good of everyone else, that's the trade-off you make, right? There's going to be a little bit of that in the show, and I'm not looking to move up the ranks. If I don't get invited to some elite party, or someone unfriends me or cancels an appearance or doesn't come on, that's not my issue. That's going to be their issue. We are seeing some elitism in the hobby. It's not good. It's creating, to me, divisions, some ranks. That's not what this show is going to be about, but I just wanted to kind of paint the corners there, if you will. But, we've seen recently 2022 has not been a great start with the hobby. We got the announcement that Fanatics had acquired Topps, not merged, not partnered, had acquired Topps, which in my opinion, and that's all it is, my opinion, is going to be a good thing. And, then a lot of the rest of the news stories were not positive ones. We had the fake slabs in Dallas where a gentleman was initially arrested. I think charges were dropped and he was released or out on bail. I don't know all the specifics, but not the first time fake slabs have reared their ugly head in the hobby. It's been a story before, and I hate to tell you this, it'll be a story again in the future. And we had the Logan Paul, Pokemon gate, where Baseball Card Exchange certified a first series case of Pokemon. I know I'm saying that wrong, and he purchased it for $3.5 million from a high-end dealer called Shine, who had purchased it for 2.7. Follow the money, right? Follow the money. It's like a detective caper. $2.7 million from Shop Mealy Pops, who's also was based in Florida. And I don't know. That was purchased. He purchased it from a Pokemon collector, I believe. And turns out they opened that. They filmed it, right, with Steve Hart standing there watching what he certified. And I hope Logan Paul is a big fan of G.I. Joe, because that's what he got. But all joking aside, it's just shown a lot of the cracks we have in the hobby, where now we don't even know if we can trust certification anymore, right? So you have one of the best wax certifications people who do certifications and BBCE certify that, and then it turns out to be a fake case. Then I hear Steve Hart claiming like Pokemon's not in his wheelhouse. Well, maybe you shouldn't grade something. Maybe you shouldn't certify something if you're not with 100% certainty, right? If I'm going to have surgery and I'm going to have, throat surgery, I'm going to a throat doctor, right? An ENT, someone who knows throats and surgeries and does these surgeries every day for who knows how many years and can do it almost in their sleep. I'm not going to go to an orthopedic surgeon and say I need throat surgery. So, I hate to say it, but like stay in your lane. If your lane is like, I know this product left and right, all right, that's fine, man. And that's probably the sports end for them. Bad look. And bad look for the hobby, Now that BBCE wrap on the outside of the box, what does it carry the same weight anymore? Not my book. This is not a small mistake. This is a $3.5 million item, folks. Right? This is like museum stuff where, comes in with guards and armed delivery and all that kind of stuff. And, that's where we're at. So that was one story of 2022, but we're not done. We all know about the robberies and break-ins, smash and grabs. That's not going to go away. We talked about it on Hobby Hotline. God forbid, what's the next story going to be, right? Someone losing their life over their Pelican case coming out of a show at gunpoint. When there's $1 million in cards and that person knows it's $1 million in cards. What, do we have to handcuff our cases to our wrists? What happened then? Someone take a machete and get the case. So, the robberies are up. And then we had the grading submission foray, if you will. I don't want to call it a scandal, although I probably could. And so that's the most recent thing, and that's where Card Collector 2, Ryan Johnson, was group subbing to PSA, except he was sending it to a gentleman named Mike who owns Mark's Cards, M-A-R-X, not M-A-R-K, in California, and he was submitting the cards. And was submitting the cards. People were paying Ryan. Ryan was paying Mike. And Mike ran up $1,000 tab with PSA. Problem was, Mark's Cards was becoming a LCS. And so where did that money go instead of the PSA to pay the PSA bill? To build this store up. Well, I guess the store failed. He spent the money on the store thinking he'd make the money back to just go ahead and pay the PSA bill. Well, that didn't happen. So the money was gone. And, Mark's Cards somehow relayed the message, hey, we're not going to be able to hold up our end of the deal here on the grading. Ryan stepped up in the sense to pay the freight on his customer subs to make sure they get graded and get back in the form that they were supposed to from the start out of his own pocket. And that's commendable on one hand. But here's the other issue. It's been pointed out by numerous people, not me, but it's been found out of numerous people that much of the wording on Card Collector's 2 website, that's Ryan Johnson's store and DBA, has really said that basically they are the direct submitter to PSA, SGC, Beckett grading, and any grading subs they took in go directly to the grading house. And that's obviously not accurate. And so there's a lack of transparency. And so while I will commend him for doing the right thing and paying out of his pocket, but do we, that's the other thing. Do we give credit for that? Isn't that what he probably should do since, even though it wasn't directly his fault, and Mike from Mark's Cars went and spent the money on other things other than paying the PSA bill, he probably is responsible to his customers who thought, right, the same customers who thought what? That their cards were going from Ryan's hands, being shipped, insured to PSA, right, when that wasn't the case. He did not advertise that. He said that much himself on a video apology. And, we commend people for apologizing and doing the right thing after they do something that's not right. And I don't know how much commending we can do there. It's better than them not doing anything at all. I'll give them that much, or just saying, hey, this is all on Mark's cards. I send it to him. You go after him. Here's his number. That I agree. It's better than that. And some people would probably do that. So in that sense, Ryan did the right thing. But Ryan didn't do the right thing to start with. He corrected the wrong, but we need to talk about the wrong too. We can't just, forget what the wrong thing is. We got a lot of people in courtrooms, right? They get caught doing something, and they stand in front of the judge and said, listen, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, right? They still got to go. They still got to serve their time and serve their sentence. Well, the hobby's kind of different because you don't really have to. You can kind of just say, I'm sorry 100 times, and it goes away. And so I thought, what is the reason why is what happens in society not the same in the hobby? Well, number one, the obvious one is the hobby's what? Unregulated, right? We don't have a board. We don't have government or feds kind of really overseeing things, right? And I'm not saying I want that, but when you don't have regulation, right, things like this are going to happen. The stock market, which is, expensive assets and parts of companies, right, that's regulated. Well, what the hobby is, or at least it was in the last couple of years, I think we're seeing what Ty Wilson from Breaker Culture was calling a hobby reset. And I got to give him credit. That's probably the best terminology for what's going on right now. You can call it correction. You can call it market crash. I think the hobby's resetting itself to levels prior to the boom. And you may not like to hear that. If you're a seller or someone who wants to print your own money out with the cardboard like we have done for the last 2 years, myself included, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. But I think those salad days are, especially on that mid-tier to low-high end, are sort of coming to a close. Like that high-end stuff, the $1 million cards are what they are. There's certain parts of the hobby that are going to be, hobby reset proof. Not many of us live in that space. Actually, very few of us. Probably 1% of the hobby lives on the continent of, $1 million high-end transactions. Okay, so that is, where we're at. So I thought to myself, how can someone, I've been a dealer since 15 for 30 something years now. And if I do something wrong, I'm going to be held accountable, right? I don't do anything wrong, but if I sell someone that's not legit, which again, all hypothetical stuff that I wouldn't do, I have to return that money, right? I'm going to probably, if I did that and word got out, I'm probably going to lose a portion of my business. How come that doesn't always work that way? Well, one of the reasons is because of the past 2 years explosion, we have a ton of new people in the hobby, right? And, for every one person that's leaving, 2 new people are coming in. And so it's a lot easier to screw up, say I'm sorry, and not really be hurt. There's enough people replacing anyone that holds your feet to the fire, right? And those that don't apologize or whatever, what else do we see people do, right? Start a new account, change their business name, and come across as like a whole new entity And it takes someone doing some real under the covers detective work to kind of figure that out and kind of expose them or open up that scab again. And even then, they usually take some heat at first and then it all dies away, right? Someone might say to me, well, John, why are you getting so revved up about it? If you're not doing anything wrong, you're doing everything above board, why do you care so much? But that's the thing. You answered the question you asked me. Why do I care so much? Because you said it. I'm doing everything above board, doing it the right way. That's why I care so much, because I'm doing it the right way. I could be slick and slimy like certain other folks are, and maybe even make more money per se, and say I'm sorry and maybe still survive. But I don't do that. I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't brought up that way. So I do try to do the right thing. I think I do 99% of the time, right? And if anything, it's nothing egregious. Maybe jumping to a conclusion might be the worst thing I could do, hobby-wise and whatnot. So it bothers me that I'm trying to do the right thing, right? I'm paying my quarterly sales tax. Now I went to yearly. I'm paying my it used to be quarterly, paying my yearly sales tax on cards, right? And that gentleman or young man or woman with that Pelican case who just sold $20,000 of cards at the show, they're most likely, I'm not going to say all of them, most, a high percentage of those are not reporting that income. And, so do we need regulation in the hobby? You asked me that question 10 years ago, I'd answer that differently. You ask me that now, I'm going to say yes. Breaking. There's so many good breakers out there. One that sponsors this show, Mojo Breaks, right? Doing things the right way, giving to charity, helping kids, making a life for themselves and a business for themselves, but doing it, again, above board in the right way. And then you see an outfit. I'm not even going to mention their name. They were all on social media. They know they are. They look like the two guys from LMFAO got into breaking. They said they were going to give away all contents of a box on camera. Well, one of the contents that came out of that box was a gold Kaboom Trevor Lawrence worth, I don't know how much money, we could argue that, but probably safe to say maybe 5 figures, at least 10,000. Someone else will say 20,000. And they reneged on that, right? They said, no, we can't give away a card like that. Come on, folks, right? Then they said, well, we'll give $20,000 to Boys and Girls Club. Well, maybe if you have $20,000 you can just give on a whim to Boys and Girls Club, then do it before you look bad, right? Don't do it after you look bad to try to make yourself look good. Then they put the person on video and he claiming he's not upset, and just a big train wreck and very unprofessional to say the very least. And I don't get into a lot of breaks, but if I do, I'm going to support people who do it the right way, support the show, Mojo Breaks, One of One, those guys, and and that's the bottom line. We kind of coming down the stretch here. I want to kind of close this out. Is we forget as hobbyists what kind of power we realistically have, right? What is that? Where our money goes, right? If somebody screws up or does something bad or that we don't agree with, we don't have to do business with them, right? You order a pizza from Pizza Hut and you get it and it's terrible. Or there's, hair on it or something, and you call them and you say, hey, this tastes terrible. Hey, there was hair on it. And they don't make it right? They don't make it right. And you're probably not going to order another pizza for them. Next time it's pizza night at your house, you're gonna call somebody else, right? Well, in the hobby, we can do that too. And believe me, there's a lot more breakers, group submitters, grading companies than there are pizza places in your local community. Okay, and you have a choice. If someone does something wrong, unscrupulous, illegal, criminal, go somewhere else. Support someone else. We have that power. We don't wield it. We waste this crazy power we have, and we probably always will. I'm talking to the wall in a sense. I don't mean you guys, but like we've always had that power, and we've just never wielded that wand. We've just sort of like, it's almost like the thing in Men in Black, right? That Agent J and K, Tommy Lee Jones, and Will Smith carry, right? And when they want someone to forget everything that just happened, they hit it, light flashes, and it's like nothing happened previously. We have that in the hobby, but we don't need that tool. It just happens naturally. I don't know why. Well, I think I do. It's just the hobby's too big. When someone does make a bad mistake, some people hear about it, but there's a lot of part of the hobby that's maybe not on social media, doesn't listen to podcasts, doesn't find out about it, and people can get away with unscrupulous things. And I don't think that's going to change. I'm telling you to wield your power, knowing full well that probably some people will wield that power, but not enough to sway the scales of justice, if you will, right? To kick that in favor of right over wrong. And one thing going back on this grading submission deal, PSA. Let's spread the blame around fairly, right? Why would you let someone run up $1 million bill, take the cards, and why would you let someone run up $1 million tab? So shame on PSA for that too, which, if they didn't do that, I'm going to plug SGC here and probably most other grading companies. I know SGC because I deal with them and they sponsor Sports Car Nation. Even when I submit, they know who I am. They sponsor my show. I don't get to submit and then get a bill afterwards. I have to, my credit card's on file. I got to pay for anything I submit ahead of time. No favoritism towards me as far as that goes, or grades go. So, why would PSA let anybody, I don't care who, it doesn't matter, run up $1 million tab? And there's where the first mistake happened. The Mike guy from Marks spent the money instead of paying his PSA bill, trying to build up a store that did not get off the ground. And Ryan sent his cards to Mike, instead of directly to PSA, which I get it. I'm not going to lie. I've sent to a group submitter too in the past, but I also knew that person, if they were sending it to someone else before or directly to whatever grading company we were using, right? Very transparent. And the fact that on the website, on CC2's website, it said we submit all cards directly, it's disingenuous. And so we gotta, let's be real. Well, we're going to get better. If we're going to make things right, if we're going to do things above board, let's be real about it. And I also want, and we'll just close with this, folks. Like I said, I'm sort of on a little bit of a rant, obviously, with this show. But again, please do not forget for 1 second that you have your power. Where you spend your hobby money, with who you spend your hobby money, who you use, who you don't, that you have that power, you have that right. Use it. Use it. All right, let's bring this plane down onto the runway here. Got fired up, got to bring it back down. But, one of the reasons I get fired up is because I care. I care. Maybe that's a byproduct of doing this for high 30-something years, right? Wearing many hats. I've been a dealer, content creator now. I've been a collector, been a store owner. I've been direct with companies. I've graded cards. I've taken other people's cards for grading subs. I've wore like a lot of hats. Truthfully, probably most of the hats you could wear in the hobby. The only thing I really haven't probably done is worked for a company in the hobby. Worked with them, directly, but I've never been employed by them. And that's probably the only hat I've never worn, and that's fine. I don't really want to wear that hat. But, you know, it just bothers me when I see wrong being done. You know, people work hard for their money. Sure, some people work harder than others. Some people have more money than others. I get that. But it doesn't matter who you are and what job you have. And if you earn that money, you earn that money. And it just, you know, especially in today's times, what we're dealing with in real world economics, and I see someone get ripped off on the hobby level, you know, I don't want to make this show political, but it bothers me. Realistically, really bothers me. I wish I was like Bill Gates or, you know, Steve Jobs, rest in peace, or Jeff Bezos, and I could just, you know, make things right or pay everybody back, or, you know, but it's you know, that's not realistic. But what I can do is try with a voice to do as much as I can, and get that word out there. And that's a great hobby. That's the thing I want to close on here, folks. Let's close this thing on an uptick, okay? Despite everything I went off on in this episode, right? The hobby is a great hobby. You know, I posted on social media the other day, for every bad story, there's 1,000 good ones. For every bad hobbyist or illegal or criminal hobbyist, there's 2,000 great ones doing random acts of kindness, giving to charity, completing someone's sets and not, you know, taking any money for all, whether it be a little act or a big act. There's plenty of great things going to hobby. We can't lose sight of that. But we also can't, just because all those great things are 1,000 to 1, we can't not talk about those bad things sometimes. Not every show, you know, not every Hobby Quick Hits does what we did today. But just the start of 2022, really wrong foot, if you will. And I was revved up. I turned the mic on, and here we are. So I hope you got something from it other than me, you know, jumping on the soapbox and ranting a little bit. But again, we have that the hobby is the best hobby in the world, as Dr. James Beckett will attest and coined. And you're in it, and it's great. Enjoy it, have fun. That's the bottom line. But also be wary of the pratfalls too, because you'll have a lot more fun when you avoid those pratfalls than if you fall prey to them. Again, I want to dedicate this episode to Mr. Joseph Tetro, a gentleman I've known for almost 20 years, and we lost him, actually at the day of recording here. And thoughts to Joe's family, and who I know very well. And I guess I'll see you soon, unfortunately. But this one's for Joe, someone who definitely stood up for what was right, and like to take a page out of his book anytime I can. Thank you, everybody. Be well, be safe, and enjoy the hobby.